Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Canadian Prime Minister in Washington meeting with President Donald Trump. Now, it's tradition for that country's leader to travel to the U.S. first after being elected, but this visit comes after the Prime Minister's previous trip to Europe. And as Amy Kiley reports, many observers are hoping the meeting will de-escalate trade tensions between the two countries.
I think it's going to be a fascinating meeting.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is meeting with President Donald Trump at the White House today. Many investors and business owners on both sides of the border are hoping for a trade deal.
I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal.
Under Trump's executive orders, the U.S. now charges 25% tariffs for importing Canadian steel, aluminum, vehicles, and non-exempt auto parts. That's also true for anything non-compliant with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. Trump is threatening duties on pharmaceuticals, lumber, and the film industry. He says he doesn't want a trade deficit between the countries.
We don't need their costs, we don't need their lumber, we don't need their energy, we don't need anything.
In response, Canada now charges retaliatory duties on some U.S. exports. Many economists say tariffs are inflationary. They say U.S. businesses that pay them on imports are likely to pass on some or all of the costs to American consumers. That means higher prices.
Most people walking through it are saying this is one part ancient economics, almost a mercantile America, and in another part made up ideas where maybe down the road we'll get some clarity.
Carney is a former central banker who campaigned on standing up to Trump.
America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Closer to home, a former central Nebraska firefighter already facing criminal charges related to a child enticement investigation now faces a new charge. 48-year-old Jared Stockwell faces an additional misdemeanor count of attempted child abuse. He'll be arraigned on the new charge later this month. The former Grand Island firefighter's already pleaded not guilty to 2 felonies after being accused of sending sexually explicit messages to an underage girl. His jury trial has been tentatively scheduled in Hall County this July. A manhunt, meanwhile, still ongoing for a Norfolk man wanted on several charges. Casey Wannenberg has details on the suspect.
Take a good look at this picture. This is 35-year-old Cody Dipman of Norfolk. Authorities have been searching for him since Thursday. SWAT teams and law enforcement agencies from across Nebraska gathered in the northwest part of the state Friday after Dipman allegedly led police on a high-speed chase. It began on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, where he's accused of swerving his vehicle toward officers, prompting one of them to open fire. The pursuit continued into Nebraska and ended in rural Dawes County. Sunday night, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety warned that Dipman may be in the Pine Ridge area, telling people to lock and secure their homes and vehicles. I wanted to find out more information about what Dipman is accused of and his criminal history. So I spent a couple of hours today searching through court documents. What I found is, despite his age of 35, Dipman already has a long criminal history. The most recent charges against Dipman happened just last week. He's facing 3 felonies in Madison County: assault by strangulation or suffocation while victim was pregnant, criminal attempt false imprisonment in the first degree, and third-degree assault. According to an arrest affidavit, Dipman assaulted a woman in Norfolk who's pregnant with his child. Allegedly, he tried to strangle her, he hit her, and he attempted to forcibly remove her facial piercing using his teeth. The affidavit says that Dipman then allegedly tried to follow the woman in her vehicle and sent threatening messages to the woman's parents, saying he'll leave their daughter alone, but they can't call the cops. Meanwhile, tribal authorities say he's also facing a firearms-related complaint on the reservation. But this isn't Dipman's first run-in with the law. His criminal history stretches back to his teenage years and includes convictions for assault, drug possession, disturbing the peace, and theft. In 2013, he was sentenced to 6 months to a year in prison for assaulting someone while already behind bars. The following year, he received a 6 to 8 year sentence for another assault. And in 2017, he was in trouble again, this time for attacking a correctional officer with a dangerous instrument. Since his release, he's faced driving-related convictions in both 2021 and 2025. Now, Dipman is on the run. Authorities warn not to approach him. If you see him, call 911 immediately. Reporting for News Channel Nebraska, I'm Casey Wannenberg.
Authorities say fast action from volunteer firefighters helped contain a field fire in northeast Nebraska Monday afternoon. The fire started about 3:15 p.m. on land about 3 miles east of Carroll in Wayne County. Firefighters from Carroll Volunteer Fire and Windside Fire and Rescue each responded. 2 tanker trucks supplied water for the firefighters. Officials didn't call out for any additional help, and most units had left the scene by 4 p.m. Video from the scene showed charred sections of corn stalks and firefighters monitoring to make sure the blaze was fully extinguished. No word yet on a cause. An economic think tank is asking lawmakers to press pause on tax credits as they try to navigate a 9-figure budget shortfall. The Platt Institute issued a report Monday urging lawmakers to freeze 2 property tax relief funds at their current levels. The Institute says doing so would save an estimated $162 million over the current 2-year budget cycle. The group warned against what it says are short-term fixes that could create long-term instability. Debate on the budget begins in the Nebraska unicameral Tuesday. Doug Kennedy looks at the challenges facing lawmakers this month.
The new state budget plan will be debated beginning Tuesday. Appropriations Committee member Senator Myron Dorn of Adams said the debate will come on the heels of a recent Nebraska Forecasting Advisory Board report that lowered revenue projections by $190 million in the next biennium. In order to address the deficit, state lawmakers will be considering spending reductions, but also steps that could boost revenue. Among the examples,
put the sales tax on pop and candy. That's going to bring in so much. There's also the cigarette tax, increasing that from about 64 or 68 cents a pack to double that, basically to $1.28 or something like that. That will also bring in a certain amount. Those are very much, they were going to be discussed on the floor. Now I think everybody realizes that going forward, especially looking at the next 2 years and where revenue could be based on what the forecasting board says, the importance of maybe having those.
There's even been some discussion about the potential to put on hold income tax cuts previously approved. There have been several recent years where lawmakers had extra revenue while budget debate was starting. Not this year, though. Dorn says changes made at the federal level may also factor into the debate.
And one other thing that's really come up this year is because of everything that's happened at the federal level and all of the, I call it the different elimination of programs or grants or different things. That has also been part of the budget discussion. So I think that was part of the discussion and part of the forecasting board, looking more at those a little bit, how they could affect us and how they could affect our revenue going forward. And I do know that that was this time definitely part of what their reasoning was for lowering the revenue that we were expecting.
Tuesday will be the 73rd day of this year's legislative session, which is scheduled to wrap up June 9th. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
Well, it's out with the old, in with the new. The Kearney Area Chamber of Commerce now has their new location on the south side of town. Their old building coming crumbling down. The Kearney Chamber sold the building to Western Nebraska Bank out of North Platte a couple of years ago with a price tag of $1.3 million. There's a little over 30,000 square feet of land where the property sits. No word yet on what the current owners have planned for the highly visible property on 2nd Avenue East. And finally, Crete is one of the largest school systems in southeast Nebraska, but for decades they've shared their athletic spaces with a nearby university. But a groundbreaking ceremony has marked the first step in creating new spaces for Cardinal athletes to call their own. Tim Hackett tells us about Crete's Project Rise.
Let's break some ground. 1, 2, 3.
With many Cardinal students and staff in attendance, Crete Public Schools officially broke ground Monday on a multi-million-dollar campaign to create new facilities that will allow the school to host practices and athletic events for nearly every team on the Crete campus.
For decades, our Crete students have competed with incredible heart, commitment, and talent. They've done so with limited facilities, on borrowed fields, and often without a true home to call their own. And yet, they've continued to rise.
The first phase of Crete's Project Rise campaign will renovate the existing field space, adding in new lighting, permanent bleachers, and a press box with a modern scoreboard. Eventually, the practice field that hosted the groundbreaking will be converted into additional parking space, and later phases of the operation will include expansions and improvements for tennis and softball. And ultimately, if the overall funding goal is reached, Crete baseball could be played on school grounds as well.
For years, Crete has shared facilities and space with NAIA Doane University, including hosting home varsity events here at Alpapic Field, just a few blocks away from the Crete campus. That partnership will persist during the construction process, but once construction is complete, those new spaces will give Crete Cardinal athletes their own space to call home.
It's game-changing. The things that people don't see are the number of fields out here that are used for practice every day. So it's not just Friday night lights that matter to us. It's freshman football on Thursday, it's JV on Monday. It's sometimes 5 games of soccer going on the same time out here in the spring.
Construction is scheduled to officially begin this week, and the school expects to host freshman and JV football events in their new facility as soon as this fall, with plans to host varsity soccer matches on campus next spring and potentially varsity football games in fall 2026. In Crete, Tim Hackett, News Channel Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com. Click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.